Here today with a good friend of mine I've known for over 20 years, who's always been interested in Costa Rica and Latin America, and he lives here now permanently. His name is Mark Wise. Mark, how did you get interested in, the Latin culture or whatever? How did this all start?
Interesting. It began, I believe, in high school. I took Spanish, and when I went to the Ohio State University, I continued studying Spanish and other foreign languages, and I did well in the classes, and for some reason I continued with that. There's no reason necessarily other than just the interest that developed over time. No one on my Spanish spoke foreign languages, but I developed an interest, eventually received a master's degree in Spanish literature, and during that time, and I was also a PhD student in Romance linguistics, but I taught Spanish and Portuguese, and my interest in the language and the culture just continued. It was increased when in undergraduate school, I went to Mexico for a quarter and studied at the University of the Americas. It was my first time outside of the United States. I had a fantastic time. Lived with a Mexican family, went to school there, made a number of friends, and really that started. After my Mexican experience and in graduate school, I had the opportunity to go to Spain for a summer, and that was just fantastic. I traveled all over Spain with Spanish friends of mine, and that was my second experience in delving into the Hispanic culture and continued my interest. Then I went to Chicago, and I was hired as a Vice President of Human Resources. And a colleague of mine, during that time I had traveled to other countries, Brazil, Argentina, Cuba, Great Britain. I had a wonderful experience traveling, but a colleague mentioned, why don't you try Costa Rica for your next trip? Because she had taught Spanish in Quepos, which is a small fishing village on the Pacific coast. I took my colleague's advice and came to Costa Rica in 1997. And she sort of gave me the tour, told me where to go, to the beach communities and so on, and travel around the Central Valley. And I had a fantastic time. People were friendly. It was a different, relaxed lifestyle than what I've been used to, coming from the Midwest and Chicago. And I loved it. The climate is absolutely phenomenal. I have had the windows open in my apartments every day, all year round. The Central Valley where I lived is at 4,000 feet and in the valley. So the climate is very temperate, very, very agreeable. And I don't recall even ever wearing a sweater, although for the Costa Ricans it can get a little chilly. And I laugh when I see them in gloves and scarves, when for me, I'm in a short sleeve shirt. I had an apartment in San Jose, close to Savannah Park, and had all the amenities that I wanted. Quite frankly, it was a nice apartment. There was a swimming pool, parking garage, sauna, bath and a half, a laundry room, 24-hour guard, and for half what I was paying in Chicago. It was just amazing. The people I met there were phenomenal. The guards, the people were very nice, the administrators, and the people, it was a mini United Nations, literally. We would have pool parties, and there were people from Panama, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil, Israel, and we just had a fantastic time. It was culturally so rich, and the people were nice, and many of the friends that I made then and during the first 16 years I lived here, I still have today. We've maintained touch, and it was a great experience. I've been able to watch TV channels from the United States with cable here, and I receive mail from the United States. There's a service, probably many services, but the one I use has a mailing address in Miami, and that I use as my mailing address for any accounts, anyone who wants to write to me. The mail goes there to Miami, and then a service picks it up and delivers it to my physical address in Costa Rica. There's a small fee for that, but it works out well. And there are certain advantages, I think, to having a Miami address, Florida address, for tax purposes. Shortly after I arrived at Costa Rica, I met Christopher Howard, and I'm not paid to say this, but he showed me around the city. We had wonderful times, introduced me to his friends and his son, and that was been a wonderful experience. And also I know Michael Miller, who has written a great tour book of San Jose. It's very readable, and you feel like he is with you, which he can also do, by the way. He can do a physical tour where he and his assistants will go with you and point out museums and parks and cathedrals and restaurants. It's a wonderful, wonderful tour. The people I've met here through both of these gentlemen have been just outstanding. Many expats, they're easy to meet, and also the Costa Ricans are phenomenal. I've made many friends. Even when I would return to the States, they would stay in touch with me. Even and especially after I was in the hospital. I had a very serious illness at one point 3 years ago, and was actually in a coma in a hospital here. And I'm told later they didn't think that I would probably survive that. I did, as you see. And my sister came down and dealt with my apartment and so on and so forth, which I lost. I was in the hospital for about a month and a half in a coma. So I didn't know anything that was going on. And right after that, I was sent to the United States, where I spent 2 years following up on my care. Although the care here was outstanding. They kept me alive, and for that I am grateful. Quality of care was good. I had some of my care covered by my insurance in the States, and I'm also a member of the CAHA, or the Social Security healthcare system, which is very good, very comprehensive. You pay a monthly premium, and everything, literally everything, is covered. Doctor's visits, medications, CAT scans, everything is covered, and it's incredibly low cost. And the quality of care, that many of the physicians, probably most, have studied in the States, and having spent 20 years in a hospital myself in Chicago, I can testify to the fact that the quality is outstanding. I would compare my ophthalmologist and dentist and others with anyone that I was familiar with in the United States. Just do an excellent, excellent job. After I was in the States for 2 years, I came back a few months ago to live down on the same floor of the 4-story building where I am. I have a beautiful view of the mountains, and I can't say enough about how wonderful the staff are. They check on me. There's 20. The same care in the United States would just be exorbitant. It would be way too much. I investigated facilities like this in the States, independent living for senior adults, and it was not affordable at all. Here it is for me, living on a pension from the hospital and Social Security. So I couldn't be happier. The care, the attention that I get, I feel comfortable and safe, and would recommend it to anyone.
Mark, I want to really thank you. You're a dear friend, known you for many years. Thank you for helping me with this and sharing your honest opinion about Costa Rica.